We the people, having solemnly resolved to constitute India, battled the British for over a century on the streets and in the courts and assemblies to realize our collective desire for freedom from colonial authoritarian rule. This found an early voice in 1895 with the Swaraj Bill, which demanded a dominion state with equality for all and freedom of speech. In 1928, Motilal Nehru's report went further to call for self-governance and minority rights. However, both demands fell on deaf ears. So on 26 January 1930, the Indian National Congress declared Purna Swaraj, or complete independence, discarding the demand for dominion status. A year later, at its Karachi session in 1931, the INC demanded comprehensive social and economic rights. Sensing imminent change, M.N. Roy proposed a constitution drafted by a Constituent Assembly of Indians, by Indians and for Indians. The INC embraced this view, and after years of relentless negotiations with the British, a Constituent Assembly was created in 1946. Nearly 300 members, representing all shades of political opinion, diverse religions, ethnicity, and from all over India, met in the plenary assembly and subcommittees across 3 years to draft India's constitution. They made deliberate and radical constitutional choices to first, transition India from a colonial authoritarian state to a constitutional democratic republic with adult franchise and representative legislatures and independent courts to maintain the rule of law. Second, to transform a traditional society built on caste hierarchy and patriarchy into a modern egalitarian society based on every individual's dignity and fraternal relations between them all. Third, usher in a multi-religious secular democracy by assuring individual freedom of religion and keeping the state away from organized religion. And lastly, to restructure a feudal economy based on concentrated or inherited wealth and large landholdings by distributing land and other economic resources and ensuring social and economic welfare. Finally, this new Constitution Republic was born on 26th January 1950. 7 decades later, our constitutional republic needs you to be a constitution defender, to preserve, protect, and realize the progressive constitutional dream to build a new India.
A very pleasant morning to everyone gathered here. I, Kirtana Purnish, convener of Constitutional Law Studies and Orientation Committee, take immense pleasure and honor to welcome you all to the final rounds of ConQuest 2022. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all the representatives of Center for Law and Policy Research, esteemed guests, and all the participants of ConQuest 2022. The ConQuest 2022 is the India's premier national quiz on the Constitution, history, politics, conducted by Center for Law and Policy Research. ConQuest is back in person after 3 years with the 2020 edition conducted online. The Constitutional Law Committee at School of Law Christ feels elated to collaborate with Center for Law and Policy Research in hosting the final rounds of ConQuest. We have time and again collaborated with CLPR, and we are happy to continue and deepen our years-long collaboration with them on various fronts. We wish good luck to all the teams and hope you all have a great time here. Thank you. Now, I would like to call upon Tanya Kinney, a research associate at CLPR, to address the gathering.
Hello and good morning, everybody. My name is Tanya Kinney, and on behalf of the Center for Law and Policy Research, I'm delighted to announce the return of ConQuest in its 6th iteration. CLPR is a not-for-profit dedicated to making the Constitution work for everyone through law and policy research, constitutional education, social and governance interventions, and strategic impact litigation. ConQuest was initiated by constitutionofindia.net, which is a digital open access resource on India's constitutional and political history. Since its first edition in 2016, ConQuest has become the largest quiz and educational activity that celebrates India's constitutional history and politics. The 2022 edition, which centers around the theme of 75 years of Indian independence, returns in person after a 3-year hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The enthusiastic participation that we have received for ConQuest over the years, and especially for this year, has contributed in a small but meaningful way towards the growing presence of a very vibrant constitutional culture in India. ConQuest 2022 is made possible with the support and collaboration of our partners. Our knowledge partner is QShala, our digital partner is ThePrint, our student community partner is National Constitution Society. We're also supported by the Friedrich Naumann Foundation and Arvind Dattar. And last but definitely not the least, our national finals partner and host for ConQuest 2022, School of Law, Christ deemed to be University. And now, without further ado, I would like to introduce your quizmaster for today and the co-founder of QShala, Raghav Chakrabarti.
Yeah, thank you, Tanya, and a hearty welcome to each and every one of you to the national finals of ConQuest this year. In fact, ConQuest Caravan, as I would call it, started off in the beginning of the month, with November. We went to the western region in Pune, and we had close to about 120 participants battle it out, and we have two fantastic teams representing Pune, then to Calcutta, followed by the eastern round in Calcutta. Again, some very, very good teams. And I'll probably talk about the teams as well as we move on to the finals. But from there to Delhi, and after the northern regional finals in Delhi, we were last week in Bangalore doing the southern regional round, and we are here today with the top two finalists from each region selected, and here they'll battle it out to take the crown of the national champions of ConQuest 2022. ConQuest in many ways is a platform which is truly kind of enabled for civic engagement and largely to engage the youth on the constitution making process, what went into the multitudes of plurality that India is, to come with a set of principles that we would all love to be governed by, right? So it is a 3-year process of deliberation, conciliation, collaboration amongst our Constituent Assembly members, right? And a way to celebrate it is through really going through what it went to bring that consensus. And constitution.net website, constitutionofindia.net website is I should say, a gift for all of us to look through that journey, and I would urge all of you to do so. On that note, I think it's time to jump into our national finals today. And what's at stake for the national winners today? So the grand finale champions go home with 30,000 cash prizes, followed by the second place with 20,000 and the third place with 15,000 cash prizes. So that's at stake today, right? So yeah, good round of applause. So lots at stake. And a lot of our teams have traveled from across the country to be here for the national finals. So good round of applause to all of them. Can we have it up? Now, the moment all of you were waiting for, to kind of celebrate these 8 national finalists from across the country, right? And as I call out the names, you guys, the teams can come in and take your slots on the national finals on the stage. We'll start off with the East Zone finalists, a team which was the first team to enter the auditorium right at, I think, about 8:30 in the morning when we were setting up things. They had a 12-hour journey just before the quiz, but they went on to win the quiz. We have, in the eastern region, give it up for Gauhati Medical College, Sayan Mazumdar, Bishwayan Bhattacharji, and Amrita Nandini Talukdar. A huge round of applause as they walk up and take their position in the grand finale. We have Gauhati Medical College. Right. They walk down the stage to take their position. Wonderful, and all the very best. And the second team to represent the Eastern Regional Round is NUJS team Samat Srivatsava, Deepanshu Agarwal, and Sevanshi Kamdar. All the best. for the NUJS team. Moving on to the Northern Regional finalists. Give it up to NLU Delhi. Can we have Akansh, Gauri and Tejas from NLU Delhi representing the Northern region? If you can quickly come up and take your place. And the second team to get qualified from the Northern Regional was again a team from NLU Delhi. We have Ananya Giri, Ashwin and Siddharth Malik. You guys can come up on stage and please take your place. And now to the Western Regional finalists. It looked like this year's ConQuest had a lot of medical students thriving in the regional finals. Another medical college making it to the national finals. We have AFMC Pune, Sagnik, Saurabh and Zoha. So if you can invite the Western Regional finalists, AFMC Pune, to come up on stage, please. The next finalist to get on from the Western Regional round is Symbiosis Law School Pune. If you can have it up for Symbiosis Law School Pune. We have Chinmay A. Deshpande, Nityashri Venkatraman and Ritoban Maitra. And the last region is the Southern region that got done last week. And our finalists from the Southern Regional, can we please give it up to NLSIU, Suvan, Sunidhi and Yash. And that will be our penultimate team of national finalists. And our last of our team which get qualified and which represents the Southern region in our national finals is again from NLSIU. We have Mallika Jain, Darshan and Srivatsan. The teams can quickly come up and take your position in the grand finale. Right, we'll have a quick round of introductions from each of the teams and then we will start the proceedings of the grand finale. So, Gauhati Medical College, if you can introduce yourself and tell us how are you feeling in the grand finale? You've come all the way from the eastern region. Go on.
Hello everyone, I am Vishwayan and I am a final year student at Gauhati Medical College. With me is Shayan and Amrit Nandini. We have come all the way from Gauhati and yeah, it's a lovely experience coming all the way from Gauhati to Bangalore and sitting beside the top 8 teams. So yeah, let's see what happens. Yeah.
Wonderful. Is this your first visit to Bangalore or have you been here before?
Yeah, first visit. Yeah.
First visit to Bangalore, and ConQuest makes it an opportunity for all of you to visit Bangalore. Namma Bangalore. Best wishes to you folks. Next team is NUJS, Eastern Regional finalists. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Hi, I'm Sivanshi, that's Dipanshu, and that's Samarth. We are from NUJS, Kolkata. And yeah, it feels great to be here. This is our first time in Bangalore as well. Lovely city. So.
Oh, I think that should warm the hearts of the Christ students here and all of us. Okay, best wishes with NUJS on Team 2. Moving on to Team 3.
Hi, I'm Gauri, and less important things, Akansh and Tejas. And we're all collectively very jealous of this campus.
If you can just repeat that again.
We're all collectively very jealous of this campus.
You're very jealous of this campus. Woo! Right, and let me tell you that as a Bangalorean, whenever I come to Christ, I also feel quite jealous for the trees around and the warmth. So, yeah, kudos to you guys. A huge round of applause for Christ. Yeah. Moving on to the fourth team in our finals, NLU Delhi, Team 2. Over to you, folks.
I'm Ananya Upadhyay. I'm joined by Siddharth Malik and Ashwin Arun, and we're from NLU Delhi. We're from NLU Delhi.
They're from NLU Delhi. So, what's your strategy for today, NLU Delhi? Grand finale?
Answer questions correctly.
Yeah, I think keep it simple, answers questions correctly, and I think that should keep you in good stead. Moving on to team 5.
Hi, I'm Ritoban. This is Chinmay and this is Nityashri. We are from SLS Pune and we look forward to visiting Blossom and Higginbottoms.
They look forward to visiting Blossoms and Higginbottoms. I hope you get a good collection of books. By the way, the Bangalore Lit Festival is happening as well, so you should drop in there as well. So wishing you the best at Symbiosis Law School Pune on Team 5. Moving on to NLSIU Team 1.
Hi, good morning. We're from NLSIU. My name's Yash. To my right is Suvansh. To his right is Sunidhi. And yeah, we do look forward to having a good quiz today.
Yeah, having a good quiz today. Wishing you folks the best. Can we all have it up for NLSIU Team 1? And we move on to AFMC on Team 7.
So we are medical cadets Saurabh Singh Bisht, Shagnik and Zoha from the Armed Forces Medical College, Pune.
Wonderful. And you want to talk about what's your, in being part of the Constitution quiz, like can you tell us what are some of the things it's been like at least about 2-3 weeks since you got qualified, right? So what's been your experience of preparing for a Constitution quiz?
I think the website, as you said, was a real asset, especially like making the Constituent Assembly debates accessible for us. And for more concerning things, we hope to make the flight after the quiz. Courtesy Bangalore.
Okay, super. And wishing you the best AFMC Pune. And last of our national finalists, NLSIU. Over to you, folks.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Darshan. On my right, I have Malika, and on my left, I have Srivatsan. We represent the National Law School of India, University, Bangalore, and we are glad to be here.
Okay. Can we have it up for our national finalists? Teams, I think they deserve a huge round of applause. Over 700 plus students from across the country, 100 plus colleges, and these are our national finalists this year. So they have huge things to kind of look forward to in this grand finale. And this is the structure of today's quiz. We started with 2 rounds of mixed bag of questions called the potpourri, followed by round through, which is a listed round, and we'll explain all the rounds of the quiz as we go along, and followed by 2 fast-paced buzzer rounds, connect the dots, and on the buzzer, right? So that'll be the proceedings for today, and we'll start out with Team 1, Gauhati Medical College, on the potpourri, right? Potpourri, and this is actually 6 questions on infinite bounds, clockwise starting from Team 1, so it starts from Team 1 and we go clockwise. The rules of pounds, so just for I think all the finalists would know what the pounds rules are. So within 10 seconds of me reading out the question, if any of you think you know the answer, raise your hands and I will come and see your answers. You need to write it down. And if on pounds, there are 2 parts to the question, I need both the parts for it to get full points. Else you might get a negative, so be careful on your pounds. And whenever I call out before I close pounds, ensure you catch my attention and say, and raise your hands, right? Not a half-raised hand, but a full raised hand, so that I know you folks are pouncing on it. Okay? So then there is a direct round, +10, and there's no negatives on the direct round. So you can go out and guess as much as you wish, and there is no negative marking there. So with that, let's begin our national finals with the first question, and I think quite apt to start with a question from the Constituent Assembly, right? So this is a following introduction of the objectives resolution in the Constituent Assembly on 13 December 1946. There was an intensive debate on an important issue for the next few days. Here is a Prasar Bharati recording of Dr. Ambedkar addressing the same. The reaction to which issue, according to Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, would strengthen the hands of reactionaries in Great Britain are we referring to, right? Listen to the audio, right? And try to work out what issue is Dr. Ambedkar alluding to in this video, okay? So that's essentially an audio, but this is pretty cool because you'll actually listen to the voice of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar on this.
So far as the ultimate goal is concerned, I think none of us need have any apprehensions. None of us need have any doubt. But my fear, which I must express clearly, is this. Our difficulty, as I said, is not about the ultimate future. Our difficulty is how to make the heterogeneous mess that we have today take a decision in common and march in a cooperative way on that road which is bound to lead us to unity. Our difficulty is not with regard to the ultimate. Our difficulty is with regard to the beginning.
So there are some elements of what Dr. Ambedkar is talking about there, and Ms. Sham Prasad Mukherjee says it would strengthen the hands of reactionaries in Great Britain. Some issue which was hotly debated, at the very beginning, right at the introduction of the objectives resolution. So think about it. What could it be? Anyone pouncing on this question? I don't see a pounce. You want to pounce? Okay, no teams pouncing. I see only NLSIU team 2 pouncing. I close pounce, plus 10 if they get it right, minus 10 if they get it wrong, and I quickly go check their pounce. So seen the answer, and the direct is to Gauhati Medical College. What issue that Mr. Shama Prasad Mukherjee went on to say, something that would strengthen the hands of reactionaries in Great Britain, their opinion on the Constituent Assembly. There's lots of hints that Dr. Ambedkar was talking about. What are we talking about? Yeah. And think about it right at the beginning when the objectives resolution was passed and so on. Okay, I need an answer, Gauhati Medical College. If you can, pass on the mic.
Yeah, so we'll say that basically it's talking about the different groupings that were created. So basically of 2 separate constituent assemblies to be created for India and for the others, like Muslim majority states. So the fact that Muslim League did not be a part of this, so that was seen detrimental to the idea of the constituent assembly.
So what Gauhati Medical College is saying is, since Muslim League, which was a very important representation of the community, was not part of the Constituent Assembly, at least the sanctity of the Constituent Assembly might not have a voice. And that is why Dr. Ambedkar goes on to say that we are clear of what we want, but we'll try and make sure that they come on board. But if they don't, we need to go ahead and build on the Constitution. The first question of the national finals, and Gauhati Medical College cracks it! Fantastic answer, and I think they worked on it. It was not an answer that they, knew from the beginning, but they kind of, derived that answer through it. Good 10 points. This was largely the issue of the absence of the Muslim League in the Constituent Assembly, and the overall issue that whether, at least from the British Parliament, they always kind of were skeptical whether India could have a Constituent Assembly of its own, and whether without the Muslim League being part of the Constituent Assembly, what would be its legitimacy and so on, right? So that's the answer we were looking for, and this is...
It was asked, I think, by my friend, the Prime Minister of Bihar, who spoke yesterday in this assembly. He said, how can this resolution prevent the League from coming into the Constituent Assembly?
Right, so that was largely what the issue was, and we wanted to just kind of play that part of the video, audio that he was talking about. So, unfortunately, a minus 10 on that. We needed a very specific answer, right? So, moving on to NUJS, your direct coming up on the screen. Dark Princess by W.E.B. Du Bois is a novel that explores the beauty of people of color around the world. The plot follows a character named Matthew Towns who meets Princess Kautilya. She introduces him to the vibrant world run by leaders of color. In one sequence, Princess Kautilya is shown unfurling a flag of independence, much like the real-life leader on whom the character is said to be based. Which historical figure that can be seen here delivering a speech for Independence is said to have inspired this character from the book Dark Princess. Right? Look at the video, and you should be in a position to work out the answer. You need to tell us the real-life character who inspired, Princess Kautilya, right, in the book. There's no audio for it, just a video grab. You can see the person giving the speech. She played a very important role in mobilizing, let's say, support for the Indian freedom struggle in a big way from different communities around the world. Right? Okay, so anyone pouncing on this question? So we have 3 teams pouncing, 4 teams pouncing, and we close pounce, 4 teams pouncing. Gauhati Medical College also pounced. Right. Okay, I've seen their answers. And the direct was to NUJS, you folks.
Is it Madam Bikaji Kama?
And what makes you think of Madam Bikaji Kama?
She was the first one to unfurl the Indian flag in an assembly in, I think, I'm not sure the location.
In Stuttgart, in Germany, and that's the right answer. This is Madam Bikaji Kama, who was a very strong proponent of the Indian freedom struggle. She went to the National Socialist Congress in Stuttgart, and I think about 1922, when she unfurled the Indian national flag, which is based on the Calcutta flag then, and that kind of inspired the present flag that we have today, our national flag. That is right. This is Madam Bikaji Kama, and a good 10 points there. And teams which pounce, if you can raise your hands, right? So 10 points to NLSIU, AFMC are minus 10, NLSIU team won another 10 points, and 10 points to Goa Medical College as well. They all got it, and they cracked it right. This was Madam Bikaji Kama, right? So this was the answer we were looking for. And she also supported the Gadar party in many ways. So she virtually went to different parts of the world to promote and mobilize strength for the Indian freedom struggle. Good 10 points to NUJS. Moving on to the next question, and that's directed to NLU Delhi. Team 1, your question coming up on the screen. The Constitution of the Hindustan Free State Act of 1944 was drafted by key members of the Hindu Mahasabha. It borrowed features from previous documents like the Nehru Report and the Government of India Act of 1935. It contained a distinct provision that has been implemented at the panchayat level in a few states in northern India. It was introduced in Lok Sabha by C.K. Chandrapan, the person pictured, in 1974. However, it did not pass muster, did not pass, support for it was not provided, and it did not pass. A hotly contested debate during the Constituent Assembly, this issue was, it was meant to be a remedy for the public should things go wrong. What provision was proposed in the Constitution of the Hindustan Free State Act of 1944, right, are we talking about? Teams which are pouncing, quickly raise your hand. So we have 3 teams here and 2 teams here, and I close pounce, and I quickly check their answers. Okay. 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 You folks do not pounce. The direct was to NLU Delhi. Team 1.
A reservation for women in public bodies.
Reservation for women in public authorities, public bodies. Moving on to NLU Delhi Team 2.
We think it's a provision providing for the recall or impeachment of elected members by the public, like recall or impeachment of elected officials.
So how would that work?
So like again by election, like there would have to be a referendum of sorts and public could vote against the people who are elected in case something went wrong.
So if somebody got elected and then you found the fact that they had a criminal record or they were not apt or they did not qualify for the representations, that is what would happen. The right to recall for the public to say we disregard our representation and we need another person representing us. That's the right answer. Very good and well cracked. Good 10 points to NLU Delhi Team 2. Teams which are pouncing, if you can quickly raise your hands. We have SLS Pune who got it right with 10 points. We have NLSIU Team 1 which got it right with 10 points. AFMC also got it right with 10 points. Gauhati Medical College also got it with 10 points. Unfortunately, NUJS, I think they went on the other side of right to bear arms, not quite, and they get a -10 on that, and good 10 points to NLU Delhi Team 2. And the next question, since it's an infinite bounce, to Symbiosis Law School, Pune, and this was the right to recall as a power to the public in order to recall public representatives. Yeah? Right, this is, which was amongst the distinct provisions in the Hindustan Free State Act of 1944. Moving on to the next question, and Symbiosis Law School, Pune, your direct coming up. Indigenous Library was established in 1848, which was one of India's first schools for girls. It was co-founded by Fatima Sheikh, considered by some to be the first Muslim woman teacher. She went door to door encouraging families to send their girls to the school. Name the duo who co-founded this institution with her to empower backward communities like Dalit, Muslim women and children, and they worked on a variety of issues to kind of support the people without access and so on, right? And from women empowerment to providing interreligious marriages to multiple aspects that they covered. So teams which are pouncing, I need the, let's say, the co-founders of the Indigenous Library along with Ms. Fatima Sheikh. Teams which are pouncing, quickly raise your hands. So we have 3 teams pouncing on this side and 3 teams on this side. I close pounce. Okay. 3 teams which have pounced on this side. Okay. So I've seen the answers from both the sides of the stage, and the direct was to SLS Pune, Symbiosis Law School. Over to you folks, what do you think? I saw the answer. Saw the answer.
All right.
Yeah.
So the duo we are going for is Jyotiba Phule and Savitribai Phule.
So you're saying it was Jyotiba Phule and Savitribai Phule who worked actively with Fatima Sheikh, Miss Fatima Sheikh to build it. That's the right answer. Please give it up. That's a great, good guess there. So this is Jyotiba Phule and Savitribai Phule who collaborated along with Miss Fatima Sheikh at that time. And, you know, they had a variety of initiatives, social reform movement, a part of the social reform movement in that region. This was close to Pune and Sangli in that region. Yes, so they were the collaborators with Ms. Fatima Sheikh, and Google Doodle, you know, celebrating the work of Ms. Fatima Sheikh that you saw there on the slides. Right? Direct again. So now pounce answers, if you can all raise your hands, please. Right? So Goa Medical College, good 10 points. Good 10 points to NLU Delhi, Team 1. Good 10 points to NLU Delhi, Team 2. NLS also cracks it. Team 1 gets 10 points. AFMC also cracks it with 10 points. And NLSIU Team 2 also gets 10 points. Right? So all teams scoring on this question. Good going, all of you. Moving on to NLSIU Team 1, your direct question coming up on the screen. Little longish one, but let me read this out for you. So Eve Yon Mande de Morris was born in 1913 in Neuchâtel, Switzerland. She was interested in Indian history, culture, and mythology from a young age, and she went on to marry a young officer and change her name to Savitribai Kanolkar. After independence, as British legacies were being replaced with ones to reflect free India, she was entrusted with the task of designing one of them. The mandate for her was that this symbol should be one that represented power and sacrifice. While she was designing it, she brought in Bhavani, Chhatrapati Shivaji's sword enclosed within Indian mythical weapons Vajra from both sides. What was designed by Ms. Savitribai Kanolkar, which was instituted on 26 January 1950 with retrospective effect from 15th August 1947. I'll probably explain why that happened as well. So teams which are pouncing, I need your, quickly raise your hands, right? I see 3 teams here and 1 team here, 4 teams pouncing. I close pounce, okay? So 3 teams and 1, And AFMC, okay. So I've seen the answers, and the question was directed to NLSIU.
So basically, the British legacies which were being replaced, so they had to redesign flags, and what Savitribai Kanolkar did was redesign the Indian Army flag.
The Indian Army flag, okay? So you're saying they designed the Indian Army flag, great guess. Moving on to NLSIU Team 2.
So this is, we'll say this is the Indian Navy. Indian Navy's army insignia, so they designed the Indian Navy.
So the insignia of the Indian Navy, good guess again. Goa Medical College, you guys bounced. NUJS bounced. NLU Delhi, Team 1.
I think it's the Air Force's insignia.
So now they're going Inky Pinky Ponky, right? From Army, Navy, and Air Force. All very good guesses. And it was, all the other teams have bounced, correct? Okay. You have not answered. Okay, sorry. Symbiosis Law School, Pune.
We said this is the symbol for the Maratha regiment.
The symbol for the Maratha regiment was what Ms. Savitribai Kanolkar designed. Anyone in the audience? Yes? From which college? NLSIU, and they say Paramveer Chakra is a good answer in the national finals. Very well done. I think there is a prize for this one, so from the audience. So good going. This is the Paramveer Chakra. And teams which pounced, if you can quickly raise your hands, right? So AFMC and Dave better get it in a sense. So 10 points for AFMC, very well done. And from here, NLU Delhi Team 2 got it right with 10 points. NUJS also cracked it with 10 points. And Gauhati Medical College also getting right on that with good 10 points. This is the Paramveer Chakra. And what is fascinating is that we had this lady from Switzerland who designed our Paramveer Chakra insignia with Bhavani in the middle. So if they can dim it and you can go check it out, the Bhavani is on the sides, and there is the reference of the Vajra from a weapon of Indra, so to say, that's also part of the Paramveer Chakra. And this replaced the Victoria Cross that was given to decorate the sacrifice of the army personnel during that time. And the little challenge was that since we had not still become a republic till 1950, they had to wait till 1950 to officially have the Paramveer Chakra. But what they did was they retrospectively gave awards for the army personnel who had sacrificed their lives from 1947 onwards, right? So that was the funda that we were looking for. Good 10 points to all of them who cracked it. Moving on to the next question on the screen, and this is directed to NLSIU Team 1. Your direct coming up again. Right. So this person, very interesting personality, was being chased by the British around the world in the late 1920s and early 1930s for his political activities, which were perceived to be subversive, seditious, and dangerous. This person infiltrated the Karachi Congress in 1931 under the alias name of Dr. Mahmud. Scholars argue that his presence had a strong influence on the contents of the Karachi Resolution. This person also produced a document which had a profound impact on the constitutional history. Who? I'm going to play you a video where it's essentially in Russian, but there is footnotes that you can see there, right? You can there's a very interesting and an important clue in that video. Let's dim the lights on the stage, and here is the video for all of you.
Les États-Unis pour acheter des armes pour la lutte anticolonialiste aux Indes, il est venu en Californie. Alors là, il y a eu la première révélation, c'est-à-dire qu'il a découvert la philosophie occidentale en Californie. Et alors, à Stanford, of all places, là, il a connu pas seulement la philosophie d'Occident, mais il a eu une deuxième révélation. Il a connu Evelyn Trent. Il semble qu'il y a eu une affinité élective. Je pense qu'il a connu là-bas l'ambiance anarcho-syndicaliste.
Je me souviens de cette photo que m'avait montrée Hari Vasudevan, un historien de Calcutta rencontré à Paris, où j'avais été stupéfait de découvrir, aux côtés de Lénine, Gorky, Boukharine, Zinoviev, la haute silhouette parfaitement inconnue d'un Indien.
Right, so there you could see a totally a silhouette of an Indian man amongst the other, Lenin and the other revolutionaries from Russia. So who are we talking about? Teams which are pouncing, please raise your hands now. I have 3 teams pouncing, and I close pounce, right? So went to Stanford looking for weapons, but ended up learning Western philosophy, right? Okay. Okay, and AFMC, got it. So we've seen the answers from 3 teams in the finals, and the direct was to NLSIU team 1.
Our guess is that the person is M.N. Roy.
And what makes you think of M.N. Roy and why?
One very obvious guess is that the video is in Russian and he was one of the early communist leaders, and that he also attended, I think, the first World Communist Congress, something along those lines. He was one of the only Indian representatives.
And he also founded the Mexican Communist Party, and the fact that he produced the 1944 Constitution of a Free India, which had a profound impact on the Constitution.
Absolutely right. Yes, this is M.N. Roy, and I think he covered all the important facts there. Imagine Mexican Communist Party was something that he had propounded. He was the representative. I mean, he went to Germany, America, multiple places, got influenced, and of course, the Constitution of Free India that formed, like at least the first Indian to be the base of our Constituent Assembly at that time, with multiple other documents that came in as well. So very good answer there, and a good 10 points to NLSIU Team 1, right? And teams which pounced, if you can raise your hands, right? So NUJS got it right with 10 points. And Symbiosis Law School Pune also cracked it with 10 points, and AFMC getting it right as well. So all 3 teams cracking Mr. M.N. Roy on this. And I really like the fact that you used the whole Russian influence and taking that as a clue to work out this answer. Good, well done. So this is Mr. M.N. Roy, and his contribution to the constitution of our country is humongous. Right, so with that, we move on to the second round, which is similar rules, but we go anti-clockwise. So we start with NLSIU Team 2, right? Mixed bag of questions, but this is just to kind of ensure that the order changes. We will quickly jump into the 7th question of the quiz. Here it is. So Setu Lakshmibai was the monarch of the Kingdom of Travancore between 1924 and 1931. Interestingly, she was also one of the granddaughters of Raja Ravi Verma. Setu Lakshmibai's regency continued the progressive administration of the Travancore dynasty and brought forth reforms like abolition of Devdasi system as well as the prohibition of animal sacrifice. Her meeting with Mahatma Gandhiji in 1925 resulted in a royal proclamation relating to a tourist attraction. It set the stage for an iconic satyagraha protest against caste-based discrimination. What did this proclamation result in? Visual on the next slide. So here, full points for giving me the name of the satyagraha and what that satyagraha resulted in. Right? So if you know the full part, only then go for it. Right? And the Kingdom of Travancore was known to be very conservative state. They had very rigid practices before, so this was one of the earliest steps of reformation, so to say. Okay, with that, we have NUJS, which has raised their hand for the pounds. I close pounds, and I quickly check their answer, right? With that, moving on to NLSIU Team 2.
Is it the Vaikom Satyagraha and the temple entry movement?
You're saying this is the Vaikom Satyagraha, and what did it lead to?
It led to temple entry movement for the lower caste.
It led to the temple entry to the Vaikom temple. That's the right answer. Very good. So this is the Vaikom Satyagraha, and what it led was all the roads to the temple, the Vaikom Mahadeva temple, were open to people from all castes. Right? So it was only open to the higher caste and the Brahmins in that time. So after that, it was open to everybody, and that was the kind of the reformatory work that Lakshmi Bai did. Good 10 points, and good 10 points to NUJS for a pounds and getting that right. Good 10 points. So a huge round of applause for the teams for getting that right. Well done, all of you. Right? Next question coming up on the screen. Right. So this is a book called The Mystery of the Parsi Lawyer by Shrabani Basu, which deals with the false conviction of this Parsi gentleman, George Edilji, a mixed-race solicitor of Parsi descent. The case was overturned thanks to the efforts of a particular individual who examined witnesses, evidence, and used his keen deduction skills to poke holes in the state's case. This case is said to have led to the establishment of the Court of Appeal, of England's Court of Criminal Appeal in 1907, who, known for his work in a related field, helped exonerate George Edilji. And I think this is kind of a very interesting case in, let's say, in Britain, where a case was overturned after a lower court giving a certain decision, and that was for the efforts of this gentleman who went ahead, unearthed new evidence and so on. Okay, so teams which are pouncing, I need you to raise your hands. I see 3 teams on this side, 4 teams, 5 teams pouncing. NLSIU, are you pouncing or not? Okay, 5 teams pouncing, and I close pounce. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I've seen the answers of all the teams, and the direct was to AFMC.
So we'll say Dadabhai Naroji for this.
They say Dadabhai Naroji, first Indian member of the House of Commons. Good guess, not quite. Moving on to all the teams pounced. I think you also pounced. Gauhati Medical College also pounced. So NUJS also pounced, right? Yeah. And NLSIU.
So we'll guess this is Dinshaw Farunji Mullah. Dinshaw Farunji Mullah.
Okay, so they say Mullah and Co, the famous lawyer Mullah of Delhi, Bombay. So Bombay High Court, not quite. Anyone from the audience? Work this out. There are lots of clues. And why do you think so? You read about this, and yes, that's the right answer. Think of Arthur Conan Doyle, the author of Sherlock Holmes, in real life actually solving a problem. It's a very interesting case. You all have to go read about it. The police were so, revenge struck by this that they started inflicting false evidences to put him on false trials and so on. And imagine this is an appeal, the judgment is being taken and there's appeal. So a lot of drama, but at the end of the day, George Edilji was acquitted as a result, and the Court of Appeal got created. Good answer. This is Arthur Conan Doyle. And teams which pounds, if you can raise your hands. So Gauhati Medical College got it right. Unfortunately, NUJS also said Dadabhai Naroji. It's a good guess, but not the right one today. So -10 for NUJS. NLU Delhi, Team 1, Team 2 cracks it with 10 points. SLS Pune and NLSIU Team 1 also get it for 10 points. Right? So AFMC was a direct question, right, for you folks. Right? So this is Arthur Conan Doyle. And from the world of Arthur Conan Doyle, we move on to, again, AFMC, since no one answered it, comes back to you folks. Your direct question coming up on the screen. This Guru Dutt's film title is a reference to an act. one among a series that sought to establish a common law code relating to a particular issue. This statute was one of the few that were discussed during the Constituent Assembly legislative debates, albeit with little success as only 3 of its 55 clauses were passed. Which act is referenced in the name of this mid-1950s film? This, in fact, was a landmark film for Madhubala in the film, and like effectively this was one of the highest grossing films of that time. Think of Kantara of this year, that age, right? So let me play the video.
हैट और रेनकोट पहने रहना तहजीब के खिलाफ है। रेनकोट
इसे रहने दीजिए।
क्यों?
ये मैं आपको कैसे बताऊं?
क्यों, क्या बात है, बता।
मेरी पतलून की हालत कुछ
रहने दो। कुंवारे हो अभी तक?
जी हाँ, भगवान की दया से।
और भगवान की दया से बेकार भी हो?
जी।
बहुत अच्छी, बैठ जाओ। बैठो।
माफ कीजिए, मेरे बेकार रहने में आपको क्या अच्छाई नजर आती है, ये मैं नहीं समझ सका।
समझ जाओगे। बेकारी की वजह से काफी मुश्किलों में होगे। कर्ज होगा, बिल चुकाने होंगे, घर का किराया, खाने का बिल, दर्जी का बिल।
जी, दर्जी का नहीं, धोबी का बिल।
तो सब मिलाकर तुम्हारा महीने का क्या खर्च है?
यही कोई 200-250 रुपये।
तो देखो, हम तुम्हारी तमाम मुश्किलें दूर कर देंगे।
Right. So the important thing is it's referenced in the name of the movie, right? So the Gauhati Medical College had a question: is the name of the act in the name of the movie? It was referenced. So that's the way you need to work out. Teams which are pouncing, anyone pouncing? Okay, looks like everyone taking more conservative. They want to hold on, not take a risk at this stage. And the direct, I think, was to AFMC.
So the movie is Mr. and Mrs. 55, and so what happens is that they get that guy married to a girl so that she can inherit. So we'll say the Hindu Succession Act.
Right. So you're saying the Hindu Succession Act, and you're saying it's Mr. and Mrs. 55, right? Do you want to give me a little more context on that answer?
So basically what happens is that she can't inherit unless she marries. That is the condition of the will. So she has to marry a guy, which is basically on a false pretext, so that she can inherit. So that is essentially what happens.
Right. And what is the act that you are going with?
The Hindu Code Bill.
Okay. You know what? I think at sometimes in the finals, I just need to be a little lenient because they got the overall concept right. And the influence of this at that point in time is the overall code bill or the Hindu code bill, but specifically the Hindu Marriage Act, right? So I will give it to you. I'll give it to you for that. That's a very good crack. They got the name of the movie. They were able to think through because it was a collection of acts that point in time which codified the Hindu law. And I'm using my discretion and I'm giving it to you. This is the Hindu Marriage Act, but largely they got the funda right as well. So one of the conditions in the movie is that the protagonist, incidentally, as she turned 21, if within 30 days she had to get married, if not, the property would not come to her. Her aunt is trying to broker a deal for a false marriage and so on. That was the time when the divorce bill had just been passed under the Hindu Marriage Act. So therefore, they wanted to ensure that they took advantage of that. It's a social commentary of that times, of the movie, of prejudices and challenges from different stakeholders in the movie. Interestingly, for all the audience, there in that film, Guru Dutt effectively plays a cartoonist, okay? And this particular artwork that you see was made by another famous cartoonist. Any guesses? It was probably, I think, amongst his works, only few where he had done a poster for a movie. He created the poster for the movie. Any guesses? Mr. and Mrs. 55, the poster, which cartoonist was behind it? Give a guess. Thinking R.K. Lakshman. It is, right? This is R.K. Lakshman who created the artwork for that particular poster as well. So this is R.K. Lakshman, and very interestingly, the protagonist is a cartoonist, so there is lots of this one. So I'm using my discretion and giving that, because if you read it largely, Gurudutt was inspired by a large part of that Hindu Code Bill. So since you said Hindu Code Bill, it's the umbrella of all the acts that related to codification of the Hindu law. Good 10 points, AFMC, and I think they deserve a good round of applause for cracking that. No team had pounced on that. Moving on to the next question, coming up on the screen, and this is direct to NLSIU Team 1. Dr. Ganesh Devi was the mastermind behind the People Linguistic Survey of India that recognized 780 languages across our country based on several factors such as geography, written script, history, etc. The idea of this project came about when he found that while the 1961 census recognized 1652 or 1652 mother tongues, the very next census showed an official list of only 108, almost 90% down. The main cause of this was government's panic due to a certain geopolitical event of the time. What was the government's fear that forced them to take such a drastic measure? Right? From all the way from 1652 languages, they brought it down to about 108 at that point in time, owing to the fear the government had in relation to a geopolitical issue that was an important thing that captured their, at that time, which something that bothered them and so on, right? So which particular, what was the government's fear at that time? What was that geopolitical event, right? So anyone pouncing on this? No one pouncing. I close pounce, and the direct is to NLSIU Team 1.
Our guess is that the event is the 1971 war, the Bangladesh War of Independence, and the resulting exodus of people into India, and how I believe the concern was something about, you know, the ethnic minorities and something along those lines. That's the event, and we're going that the government was worried that because the minorities are coming in, the refugees are coming in, they will affect the demographics of the region.
Okay.
So
you want to add on? Yeah.
So broadly, I think they did not recognize the mother tongues of the region that was Bangladesh, particularly because, again, I think it's ethnic minorities, but I can't think of much broadly, I just know.
Okay, so let me take away from their misery, and I'll give it you 10 points. The event is right. This is the 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War, and there was an exodus. And what the government's fear was that it might lead to more separation, considering many more communities might seek for their own states, right? So that was what their fear was, and they kind of came up with this next sense, on their census that they reduced the languages. But yeah, that was the answer, and this is a good magnum opus to recognize different languages that existed during that time by Ganesh Devi. So good 10 points and well done, well worked out. What made you think of 1971 war?
It says 61, next sentence.
That was what we wanted you to work out also. Good thinking, yes. So if you look at it, 1961, census happens every 10 years. So you're looking at 1971 as the next 10 years. And what was the most important event India had was the 1971 Liberation War. And that was a very well worked out answer from NLSIU Team 1. So they got the clue that we had as well. And that's the answer. Right, moving on to the next question. So this is the caliber for the national finalists. Well done. Moving on to Symbiosis Law School, Pune. Your direct question on the screen. So Frederick Oscar Ortel, a German-born engineer, architect, and archaeologist, was a graduate of the Thomason College of Civil Engineering. Interestingly, IIT Roorkee of present day, which supposedly is one of the oldest engineering colleges in Asia, and worked at the Public Works Department of the government. He's most known for his discovery of something in the winter of 1904-05 while working in Uttar Pradesh. His discovery was a subject of Constituent Assembly debates, including observations by Jawaharlal Nehru in his speech in the Constituent Assembly on 22nd July 1947. What is his famous discovery, which the main elements are supposed to symbolize power, pride, courage, and confidence? Right? Teams which are pouncing, I need you to raise your hands. Plus 10 if you get it wrong, right? Minus 10 if you get it wrong. 2 teams pouncing from this side, and all teams pouncing on this side. So I will quickly close bounds and check the answers from here. We're going quickly if I can get your answers. Okay, and teams which bounced here. Okay, so seen the answers from the teams, and the direct was to Symbiosis Law School, Pune.
We'll say that the famous discoveries of the Ashoka pillar.
So you're saying Frederick Oscar Austell, when he was working on a site in Uttar Pradesh, he found the Ashoka pillar, which gave us the national emblem. That's the right answer. Very well done. A huge round of applause. So a German engineer who in fact discovered the Ashoka pillar, or the lion capital as they would call it, at Sarnath, and we blanked out Sarnath there so that you could work out from Uttar Pradesh. And interestingly, the lions are supposed to represent, the 4 lions are supposed to represent power, courage, pride, and confidence. And that was the element that we were going for. Teams which bounced, if you can quickly raise your hands, right? 10 points to Gauhati Medical College, NUJS, NLU Delhi, and NLU Delhi Team 2. And we have 10 points to AFMC and NLSIU Team 2. Looks like NLSIU Team 1 is hitting themselves for not going for that. This was amongst the questions which we thought most of you should be able to crack and get ahead in the round. This is the Sarnath Ashoka pillar and the contribution of this German engineer in this insignia of our country, right? And Jawaharlal Nehru spoke in length about how this of the emblem being chosen as our national symbol in the Constituent Assembly, right? The last of our questions coming up, and this is for NLU Delhi Team 2. In 2021, in the case of Sangama versus State of Karnataka, Karnataka introduced the Dash reservations, which has accorded over 1% reservation for transgender persons in civil service posts in a certain way, making it the first state to do so. This was a break from a model of reservation adopted in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. However, the Karnataka model is more inclusive and is similar to the reservation treatment provided currently for women and persons with disabilities. What is the reservation model adopted in Karnataka called? Tell us what is the key difference in this model vis-a-vis the Kerala or Tamil Nadu model, right? If you can give me the name of what this reservation model that was something that the Karnataka High Court kind of gave a direction for and so on, and tell us what is the key feature of that that form of reservation, you get your points. Teams, anyone pouncing on this? Okay, looks like no team wants to take the risk, but direct question was to NLU Delhi Team 2.
So we're thinking the current reservation policy for women and PWDs is horizontal. So it's across communities, you would have to meet a certain percentage. But we're saying the difference is that the other policy is vertical in nature. So 1% is reserved, it's not distributed among communities.
It's not distributed amongst all communities, so that 1% reservation for transgender persons you're saying was just not on OBC community or on SC/STs, but it is across all communities when it is horizontal, and if it is vertical, it is only for that. That's the right answer. This is the horizontal reservation and the vertical reservation that is in models that are prevalent, and what Karnataka High Court decision was to adopt the horizontal reservation, and that's a fantastic answer, NLU Delhi Team 2, and that's the major difference that we wanted to kind of bring out, which is also this is in tune with intersectionality, right? So, which is to ensure that there are other layers of caste restrictions that is taken into consideration in this. So yes, good 10 points to NLU Delhi. Can we have a huge round of applause for that and a good crack there? And this is horizontal reservation is what we were looking for. Good 10 points. And with that, we've completed our 2 rounds of quizzing on the national finals. We'll jump into the next round. And before that, we will have some audience questions for all of you. So here is your first of your audience questions. And this is, a conversation between 2 women Constituent Assembly members, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur and Hansa Mehta. And you need to tell us about what is that issue that they were discussing, which was a very contentious issue in the Constituent Assembly and continues to be one today as well. So let's look at it. And they were the first proponents of this particular issue in the Constituent Assembly. And let me play the video for all of you.
दोनों नास्तिक हैं। मेरी एक सहेली को तो अपना धर्म बचाने के लिए स्विट्जरलैंड जाकर के शादी करनी पड़ी। ये बताइए, कितने लोग इस बात को अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं? मेरे ख्याल से स्विट्जरलैंड की तरह हमें भी अपने आइन में ये बात कह देनी चाहिए कि धर्म दो लोगों की शादी के बीच किसी तरह का अड़ंगा नहीं डाल सकता। बिल्कुल। और अगर ये बात संविधान में शामिल हो गई तो अब तक चला आ रहा ये पुराना कानून असंवैधानिक अल्ट्रावायरस करार दे दिया जाएगा। मैं कमेटी को फौरन एक चिट्ठी लिख देती हूँ, फिर देखते हैं तुम्हारे और मेरे अलावा कौन इस मामले में हमारा साथ देता है। मर्द तो शायद ही कोई साथ दे हमारा।
Right. So in the audience, what was being discussed? I'll probably give somebody from this side. Anyone wants to take a crack at the answer? What was being discussed? There was interfaith marriages. There was a Swiss law that that was to be adopted. Anyone? Yeah, the back. Universal Civil Code, Uniform Civil Code is what we were looking for. So this is the UCC, or the Uniform Civil Code. Right? Good answer there. Which college? Christ. Good answer. This is the Uniform Civil Code, and that is what was being discussed by Ms. Hansa Mehta and Rajkumari Amrit Kaur. Right? That's the question. And the next question for you folks. Right? So this is one of the questions actually from our Southern Regional Preliminary Round. Opari is an ancient form of lamenting in southern India, particularly in Tamil Nadu. It is traditionally performed by landless laborers and people from marginalized communities. It influenced the themes and style of a 2021 hit song. The song was in the news when Rolling Stone magazine only featured the artist Dee on its cover of the song, leading mass outrage about how it excluded the efforts of the song's creator. Which 2021 song, whose references a Tamil term for endearment, appreciates the Opari art form? Let me play the video. Right. So, a lot of you, I'm pretty sure, are trying to guess the answer. Yes, right there, back. Yourself, you. Enjoy me is the right answer. Right, so this is the enjoy me, and that's a good answer there. Well done. Right, from Christ? Yeah, from Christ. Huge round of applause for one of your team members to get that right. This is enjoy me. And with that, we are ready with the scores. After 2 rounds of quizzing at the national finals, we have the following scores which come up on screen as the laptop shifts. Right, the smoke there to give it like a smoky feel. Right, so we have Gauhati Medical College on 70 points, NUJS on 30, NLU Delhi Team 1 on 30, NLU Delhi Team 2 on 60, Symbiosis Law School on 50, NLSIU Team 1 probably beating themselves up for not going for Sanat's Iron Pillar at 60, AFMC Pune at 50, and NLSIU Team 2 on 30 points. Anybody's game till the last question of the quiz. They are amongst the best in our country. So here goes. The next round is a listed round that my colleague Vaishnavi will run for all of you. It's an interesting round and we require a lot of cooperation from the audience on this round. Over to Vaishnavi for taking through the listed round.
Thank you, Raghav. And with that, we come to probably the most dramatic round of the quiz. And this is a round that most of the teams here have had a taste of it in the regional finals, and I hope they're a little well prepared this time. And yes, So just for the audience context, what we'll do is we have one question for each team. We start clockwise with Gauhati Medical College. We have a topic and we have 9 options. Out of these 9 options, 6 are correct and 3 are incorrect. We also have a timer running along with the grid. So the teams need to choose the 6 correct options, right? So you get 5 points for every correct answer. But if they make one mistake, whatever they've scored in this particular round comes down to 0, right? So it's important that you choose and you start with the options that you're confident with. Yes, so 8 questions, 1 question to each team, 9 options appear on the screen, 6 of them are correct and 3 of them are incorrect. Clockwise with team 1, plus 5 for every correct answer, and the score comes down to 0 if you choose even a single wrong option. Right? And the teams also reserve a right to stop the game in case you're not confident. Right? Okay, moving on. So let's have a sample question for the audience. So what are the words that are present in the preamble? So let's have you shout out. People, of course. Yeah, that's right. Secular. Let's see if secular is there, right? Justice. Liberty. Equality, fraternity, said somebody, let's see. That's right. And huge round of applause for the audience, you cracked it right. So you know your preamble really well, and it's the introduction to the Constitution. It talks about the guiding principles of the Constitution making process as well. Right, so with that, now we have the spotlight on Gauhati Medical College. Are you ready? Yes? So let's start with your grid. So places that saw armed revolution, armed revolt in 1857, the War of Indian Independence. Which of these places saw armed revolt in 1857? So you need to say go and choose the option.
Go, Barakpur.
Go, Barakpur. Of course, we remember Mangal Pandey. There's a little bit of tension with the sound. 36 seconds left.
Go, Bareilly.
Go, Bareilly. In Uttar Pradesh, yes. 4 more to go. Let's see if they can crack them all. 20 seconds to go, Gauhati Medical College. What are the other places that saw armed revolt in 1857? They're really figuring out the geography right now. 8 seconds to go.
We'll stop.
They stop and they just waited for the timer to run out and put them out of their misery. And so you get yourself 10 points. And can we have a huge round of applause? Right, so you get yourself 10 points. And with that, Gauhati Medical College have a sigh of relief. And we move on to NUJS. This is your grid. So Constituent Assembly members who served as mayors or chairpersons of municipal corporations. 50 seconds, so you need to say go. Right? Which of these Constituent Assembly members were also part of, they headed municipal corporation?
Go, Chaudhary Khali Kuzaman.
Okay, let's go with that option, Chaudhary Khali Kuzaman. Absolutely right. He was a part of the Lucknow Municipal Corporation. 30 seconds.
Rustam Sidhwa.
Rustam Sidhwa. Spot on. He was part of the Lahore Municipal Corporation.
Uh,
12 seconds to go.
Meenu Masani.
Go Meenu Masani. That's right as well. 5 seconds. So you really have to hurry up if you are making any more choices. And that ends the debate. So 3 correct answers. You get 15 points. Huge round of applause for them. Okay, and we will move on to NLU Delhi Team 1. This is your grid. Women who were represented on the currency of their respective countries. So which of these women were represented on the currency notes or coins of the respective countries?
Go Maya Angelou.
Go Maya Angelou, of course, on the US currency.
Go Enid Blyton.
Go Enid Blyton. That was one wrong step. That marks the end of the game. You still had a lot of time. You had 28 seconds, right? And that's a dramatic 0. Again, 0 points, but what were the other choices, other logical guesses that you were discussing?
Go Mary Curie.
Go Mary Curie, absolutely right, on the Polish currency.
Go Frida Kahlo.
Go Frida Kahlo on the Mexican currency.
Go Berta von Suttner.
Absolutely right, one of the earliest Nobel Peace Prize winners. I think they're getting all the right answers now. Okay, and one more chance perhaps.
Go Rosa Luxemburg.
Rosa Luxemburg was an incorrect answer. Other correct answers were Jane Austen and Kate Shepherd, the suffragist from New Zealand, right? Good, again, don't worry, we have 2 more rounds for you to catch up. Princess Diana was the other incorrect answer. So very important to talk about the representation of women in not just, like, in different areas, especially the currency notes here as well. So with that, we move on to NLU Delhi Team 2. Are you ready? Yes, and they give me the nod. Which of these are scenes depicted in the original manuscript of Indian Constitution? Right, so we have these beautiful illustrations in the original manuscript of the Indian Constitution. Which of these are the scenes depicted in them?
Scene from King Vikramaditya's court.
You need to say go.
Go,
and
scene from King
scene
Vikramaditya's
from
court.
King Vikramaditya's court. That gives you 5 points. Think of all the beautiful illustrations on different parts of the
Go
Constitution.
Dandi March.
Sorry?
Go Dandi March.
Go Dandi March.
Go decoration with Mohenjo-daro seals.
Go decoration with Mohenjo-daro seals. 9 seconds to go. Team NLU Delhi, Team 2. 5 seconds. And they want to stop it. And that gives you 15 points. And that's a wonderful working out of answers there. Now, for no points and no pressure. So great answer there, Team NLU Delhi. And with that, we move on to Symbiosis Pune. Here is your grid. So let's see what we have in store for you. Constitutions which recognize political parties. 55 seconds. We have the other teams here going, oh my God, that looks like a tough cookie. Okay, 45 seconds. Constitutions which recognize political parties. Team, your timer is running. 30 seconds left. Now would be a good time to start taking guesses.
We'll go with France.
Go France. That's right. 20 seconds.
Canada.
Go Canada. Okay, and I can feel the audience going, oh, that is incorrect. Right, so that's a 0. And with that, NLSIU Team 1, are you ready for your grid? Yes, they said, bring it on. And here is your grid. The features of Ambedkar's States and Minorities Report 1945. Again, this was published in 1945 and then submitted to the Fundamental Rights Committee that Ambedkar was a part of. So what were the features or what were the recommendations that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had as part of the States and Minorities Report 1945?
Separate settlements for certain communities, go.
Separate settlements for certain communities, go. Felt like a rap for a second. 32 seconds remaining. 5 more options. Let's see if they can crack them all and set a record today. 25 seconds, NLSIU Team 1.
Go nationalization of key industries.
Okay, go nationalization of key industries. That's right. 10 seconds. And they said, let's cut it. Let's finish it off. And they're happy with the 10 points that they received. Can we have a huge round of applause for NLSIU Team 1? Okay, with that, we move on to Armed Forces Medical College. They're ready with their pens and paper. And here is your grid. women members of the 1952 Lok Sabha. Right? Again, all of these are women who played a very, very important role in Indian freedom struggle.
Sucheta Kriplani, go.
Sucheta Kriplani, go. Right? One of the
Rajkumari
earliest.
Amrit Kaur, go.
Yeah, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, absolutely right. Got 2 of them, we need 4 more. There's a lot of overlap between Constituent Assembly members, freedom fighters, and the female members of the 1952 Lok Sabha. Can get a little tricky. You have 26 seconds.
Hansa Mehta, go.
Go Hansa Mehta. Well, team, I told you there was quite an overlap, and my heart really goes out to you. That's a 0. And with that, we move on to the last listed, and let's see if they can set a record. NLSIU Team 2, here is your grid. Subjects or topics that were covered in the Indian Independence Act of 1942. So this is passed in the British Parliament. That's how India and Pakistan came into existence. So what were the topics or subjects that were covered as part of this act in 1947? 45 seconds, just to remind you the clock is ticking.
Division of armed forces between India and Pakistan, go.
Go with division of armed forces between India and Pakistan. It's a safe start. Think twice before you say go.
Administration of Burma, go.
Okay, administration of Burma. Oh. You still had 18 seconds. That was a tricky one. And with that, we move on to the audience questions. Thank you for being such a lovely audience. We have some questions for you. Right. So we're talking about an acronym that predates the era of internet messaging. Right? And its first recorded use dates to a 1917 letter from the then recently retired Admiral of the British Navy, John Fisher, who was writing to Winston Churchill about his gleeful surprise surrounding rumors of new honorifics potentially being granted. So what is this acronym added to the Oxford English Dictionary in 2011, but was used way back in time? All along, the other words that were added in 2011 were muffin top and lol. So what has been blanked out here? And in the letter it says, are we really incapable of a big enterprise? I hear that a new order of knighthood is on the Tepis, blank, shower it on the Admiralty, right? So what acronym, which is popular these days because of instant messaging, but was used way back in time, are we talking about? Take a guess. What are some acronyms you think would fit the bill here? And expressing surprise would be a clue. Any guesses? Yes. So you're saying way back in 1917 letter, they said expressing surprise, OMG. Yeah, and he's like, okay, just a guess. Well, you're absolutely right. So this is probably one of the earliest use of the phrase OMG or oh my God, right? So wonderful answer from there. And with that, we have the next question for audience. Yeah, connect all of these.
चलो पीछे नहीं आ सकते
Right, so the next round is connection questions. So we thought we'll show you an example. So you need to connect all these different elements to a common answer, right? That's a clip from the famous movie Rang De Basanti. What is the overall connection? We're looking for, yeah. All right, we'll get to the teams. This is for audience, right? Yes. Good guess. Any other answers?
Is it Chandrasekhar Azad?
Yes, we're looking for an incident.
Okay, the Kakori train robbery.
This is the Kakori train robbery, absolutely right. So you had the date, you had the clip, and yes, so that was the gun that was used as part of the Kakori train robbery. This is just an example for how the next round would go on. With that, let's take a look at the scores. Right, so after the listed round, Gauhati Medical College at 80 points. Can we have a huge round of applause for them? And we have NUJS at 45, NLU Delhi at 30, NLU Delhi Team 2 right behind Gauhati Medical College at 75 points, Symbiosis Law Pune at 50 points, NLSIU Team 1 at 70, AFMC Pune at 50, NLSIU Team 2 at 30. Now, this is bound to be a nail-biting finish. So wait, and let's find out what happens in the next round, in the Connect round. Over to Raghav.
So with that listed round, now we are to the last two rounds of our national finals on the buzzer. We have probably 15 minutes left of the national finals left. So all teams, fingers on the buzzers. Let's get cracking into our buzzer round and the Connect round. And as previous question, like Kakori robbery, we might not give points for Chandrasekhar Azad. We would want you to weave in a connection. So overall connect fetches you points. So be careful and then work out the answer, right? I'll tell you the rules. 6 questions in all, since it's the grand finale, plus 10 for a correct answer, minus 10 if you get it wrong, and I will not run a second term on the question. So once if somebody clicks on the buzzer, they give a right answer, they get points, wrong answer, I go to the audience, right? So there's no second round on the questions, right? All questions will appear on the screen. Fingers on your buzzers, teams. The first of our connection questions, 20 nations of the Americas gathered in Petropolis, Brazil to draft a new defense pact formalizing the Act of Chapultepec. And then you have Britain's first nuclear reactor, G-LEAP. And then you have other 2 photos, which we've put there to provide you a clue. There is a reason why this question appears. It's the first question of the Connect as well. If you have been listening to what is something special about this year's ConQuest. Okay, looks like teams are like they want to really think through before taking a crack at the theme. I gave you a clue as well. The theme of ConQuest. Okay, Gauhati Medical College.
So all of these entities are completing 75 years this year in the year 2022. They are celebrating this 5th anniversary this year.
75th anniversary. And so therefore, what's the connection amongst all?
Like Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, so 75 years of independence.
So 75 years.
Yeah.
So all of them are celebrating their 75th year. I'll give it to you. This is the right answer, right? But because it is celebrating its 75th anniversary, which year or when did it take place?
47.
So all of these specific events took place on August 15th of 1947, right? So we had, the unfurling of the Indian national flag in Delhi. This is Mr. Liaquat Ali Khan becoming the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and you can see Jinnah here, on the swearing-in ceremony. Britain's first nuclear reactor, G-LEAP, came into existence on August 15th, 1947, and the pact between the countries, in the Americas coming together, formalizing the Act of Chapultepec. So that's the answer we were looking for, and that's the connection. All important events that took place on August 15th, 1947, but 75th anniversary is what they're celebrating. So I'm kind of, going and giving that answer for all of you. Next question coming up on the screen, all of you. Fingers on your buzzer. Now, connect. Think through this question. Okay, Gauhati Medical College has pressed the buzzer. Oh, they've gotten a plus 10 on the first question.
So we'll say this is the Commonwealth of India Bill of 1925.
Okay, and why?
This is Tej Bahadur Sapru, who was the chairman. This is the Commonwealth logo. This is the Commonwealth
okay, logo.
This is Annie Besant, who was the chairman, who was the chairman most probably, and Women's India Association was instrumental in making. So
It was instrumental in building the a commission which came up with the Commonwealth of India bill. And who is that gentleman to the top left? Any guesses?
Not sure.
Okay. Gauhati Medical College got a +10 on the first question. They were trying their luck on the second question. And sometimes when you take risks, you get right. And that's the right answer. Very, very well worked out. I think the logo of the Commonwealth really leading you into that answer. And that is Mr. George Lesenby from the British Parliament who presented the Commonwealth of India bill to the Parliament. So that's the answer we were looking for. And the Women's Indian Association played a very important role in setting up, and a prominent role was the subcommittee after the first Commonwealth bill was created was chaired by Miss Annie Besant. Right? So that's the answer. Very well done and a good crack in the national finals. This is the Commonwealth of India Bill of 1925. You're spot on in that answer. Right? And the next question coming up on the screen, all of you. Fingers on your buzzers. Now.
See, at the time that I learned, that was the system established by the Tanjore Quartet. You know who they are? And it was systematized that way.
Okay, so we have...
There is no proof that it was not done differently before.
If you can press the buzzer again.
I think it was...
No one has gone for the buzzer, okay?
Systematized by them. I don't
One
think
minute. Just a second.
that we have
Okay,
to
you guys
follow
have
that
gone for the buzzer. So we will stop there and probably...
Is it something to do with directive principles of state policy? The reason directive principles also talk about protection of milch animals, Animal Welfare Board, and it's also the protection of national symbols, fundamental duties, FDs.
There is a small clue there also. It says decline. Did that lead you to... Okay, NUJS was trying their luck there. And in fact, if we put much more, right? Like directive principles of state policy would have been probably the whole slide, right? Unfortunate, a -10 NUJS, -10. But don't lose heart. Sometimes you need to take those risks in the national finals, right? Anyone in the audience, we are looking for a personality who in many ways was an activist in her own right. And that the person you saw on the video as well. Somebody who declined becoming a president when she was offered the presidency by Prime Minister Morarji Desai when the Janta government had come into place after the emergency. And she said that there are better people to lead, and she declined it, or else she would have become India's first woman president. Right? She was instrumental in the passing of the, essentially the Prevention of Cruelty of Animals Act.
Anything
right?
to do with?
Yeah, if you can take the mic and answer, introduce yourself as well.
I'm Srinati, and she founded the Kalakshetra Dance School. And I'm sorry, Rukmini Devi.
And now when she said Kalakshetra, the name flashed. That is Ms. Rukmini Devi Arundale. Yes, that's the right answer. A huge round of applause for that. Right? So this is Rukmini Devi Arundale, and the image here is actually from the Kalakshetra. It's famous for this wonderful tree, the banyan tree, which is there. So that is a clue that we are trying to give there. She was greatly inspired by Anna Pavlov, the famous ballerina, and she worked and collaborated with her in some of the projects, and that supposedly inspired her to start out Kalakshetra as well. Right? So that's the clue there, and this is Mrs. Rukmini Devi Arundale. So that's the answer we were looking for, and a tough one looks like for the national finals, but she played an important role even in the Prevention of Cruelty of Animals Act. Right? So fingers on your buzzers, teams. The next question coming up on your screen, all of you, right now. Connect. Most in this list were based on the creations of a draftsman named M.S. Sethi. These are the new entrants of a certain set. New entrants to a certain set. Okay, Gauhati Medical College. Looks like the connections are the ones that they are.
So we'll say these are the election symbols of different political parties. The first set were created by MS Sethi. These are the new ones like charger, laptops.
So there are only certain symbols that most political parties in India can take from, and that is something that the Election Commission puts off as a schedule. And most parties have to take from the existing political party symbols. And you're saying these are the ones that were, okay. So looks like they might have hit a century. They hit a century. So if you get a -10, you get back to minus about 90. But looks like MS Sethi has helped you get good 10 points. Absolutely. I think what is fascinating for me were these are now noted political symbols. So you could look at political parties actually taking a laptop as a symbol or a petrol pump as a symbol and so on, a charger even. So these are the election symbols that were added this year by the Election Commission, and these are largely a larger set. But another very interesting thing is all of these symbols were done by one person, and that was Mr. MS Sethi, right? So that was what we thought. A question for the grand finale. Moving on to the next question. Fingers on the buzzers, teams. The next one on the screen now. Connect. Okay, looks like Gauhati Medical College.
So this is the national anthem of India, Jana Gana Mana. So it is based on the Rag Alaya Bilawal. It was first published in the Tatavadhini Putrika. First sung during the annual session, and I think the name of the movie is Janagana Man.
And what is 52 to do with it?
52 seconds. Seconds is the national anthem. Duration of the national anthem.
And who's that lady? They don't know, but that's a classic answer. This is the national anthem, the Jana Gana Mana. And that's Margaret Cousins, who built the Western musical notation for the national anthem at Madanapalli, along with Rabindranath Tagore. And that was her contribution to our national anthem. So this is the Jana Gana Mana, and that's a fantastic answer. Gauhati Medical College looks like they are striding forward in the connections round, at least, taking those good bets in the connection round. Fingers on your buzzers, teams. Let's see who will kind of now try to break the monopoly of this round with the other teams. Fingers on your buzzers. Now, connect. The books, Anubandh. We are pure but so many. Poor but so many. So got that wrong. We are poor but so many. Our two books. We have blanked out an image. That's the Ramon Magsaysay Award and the Right Livelihood Award. That's the symbol. Oh, okay, AFMC.
So we'll go with Ela Bhatt.
And how do you connect?
So these are the books written by her. She won Ramon Magsaysay, and that is Seva.
And that is the Sevas, the self-help women groups. That's the right answer. Fantastic. Oh, and interestingly, she was the only Indian women member of the elders group that was formed. And you can see Nelson Mandela, Kofi Annan, Jimmy Carter, and multiple sets of people who were working, and they were advising multiple organizations on, to reduce inequalities around the world, right? So that's the answer, and they got all the other elements right. Mrs. Ela Bhatt passed away this year, and it's a tribute question in ConQuest National Finals. The work that has impacted millions of people around the world, with women being able to empower themselves with work and also to bring sustainability to their livelihood. She came up with this principle called 100-mile principle, where you use things within 100 miles of where you stay in order to be sustainable, right? So she kind of brought that as a very strong part of our work framework. So this is Seva, and this is Ela Ramesh Bhatt, the famous social activist who passed away this year. And with that note, we have I think, completed our round of our connection round. So let's give them a good round of applause for going through that. And here's to the audience questions. The last two of our audience questions before we jump into the last round of our quiz. Let's look at this video and tell us, this is a song titled Frank Brazil by the Delhi-based band, The Scavengers, whose journey is depicted in this music video.
India, travel down to Africa, Africa, travel to America, America, link the Gadda party and try do things far away from home. Then I travel down to Germany, Italy, France and in Switzerland. 1934 I reach England and get ready for assassination.
Right, so somebody went around the world. I'll come to you folks, but anyone in the audience who wants to take a crack, yes? So the Udham Singh is the right answer. Yes, that is right. Who went around the world, right, after having killed General Dyer of the Jallianwala Bagh massacre fame. Yeah, this is Udham Singh, and that's a good answer there. Very well done, right? And there's a very nice video, kind of looking at his journeys, or probably, let's say, escapades from being convicted and so on. So this is Udham Singh, and the last of our questions to the audience. Which science Nobel laureate gave the below answer when a question was posed on his views on the responsibilities of a citizen in the defense of traditional freedoms under the Bill of Rights of the US Constitution? He went on to say, the strength of the Constitution lies entirely in the determination of each citizen to defend it. Only if every single citizen feels duty-bound to do the share in this defense are the constitutional rights secure. Almost resonant with the objective of even ConQuest, right? To empower all of us with understanding of our rights in order to defend the constitutional rights. So which famous Nobel Science laureate went on to say this? And if you were to say, in the Constituent Assembly, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar goes on to say that Article 32, which is the right of constitutional remedies, right, are the soul of the Constitution as well. Right? So somebody who resonated the same thing, a famous Nobel Science laureate. Over to you. I don't know, what is the first answer? Nobel. Albert Einstein is our answer, and that is right. So this is Albert Einstein, who among other things was also offered to become the president of Israel, and he declined. Right? So that's the right answer, and a chocolate for you there. Albert Einstein will be quite pleased. Right? Yeah, so this is Albert Einstein, and with that we've completed our 4 rounds of quizzing, and the last round of our national finals. The last 8 questions which will determine who the champions of ConQuest 2022 will be. 8 questions in all, open to all teams. Plus 10 if you get it right, minus 10 if you get it incorrect. All questions will appear on the screen. Fingers on your buzzers, teams. May the best teams, win, and wishing you all the very best. First of our questions coming up now. In late 2021, the Punjab farmers honored a particular individual by naming a variety of rice after him. He championed farmers' causes, and he is the subject of this book, Furrows in a Field, by Sugata Srinivasa.
H.D. Devagowda. H.D. Devagowda.
The former Prime Minister of India, Mr. H.D. Devagowda, is the right answer. He worked for irrigation facilities in Punjab and large part of even Karnataka, and this was H.D. Devagowda, new book about Mr. H.D. Devagowda, Furrows in a Field, right? Fingers on the buzzers, teams. The next of your questions coming up now. The individual pictured was the force behind an iconic 1986 Supreme Court case that led to a particular change in the law. Which work of fiction did this person inspire? Yes, AFMC.
This is God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. It's her mother.
You say this is Mary Roy, the mother of Arundhati Roy, who fought against inequality in succession under the Syrian Christian law. And that's the right answer. Right? So work on this case would inspire our daughter to write The God of Small Things, which was a Booker Prize winning book, right? And effectively for the the succession was only for male siblings, and I believe there was only a certain portion which was given, and she fought against it and brought a change through the Supreme Court case. I think Mary Roy versus Union of India. So this is the god of small things, right? And Mary Roy also passed away this year, right? So good answer there. And interestingly also that god of small things was placed, I think, in her burial. So that's a tribute to her through her daughter, right? The god of small things. Next question on the screen, fingers on the buzzer, now. Which Bharat Ratna was invited by Jawaharlal Nehru to play a musical instrument on the eve of the independence? Yes. NLSIU Team 1, I need an answer.
Is it Zakir Hussain?
Zakir Hussain probably was a kid during that time. Probably a kid during that time. Unfortunate, NLSIU. I know that you had to go for an answer. You pressed the buzzer. And anyone in the audience? Okay, so one guess here is Pandit Bhimsen Joshi. Okay, there's one gentleman who I think was from the Southern Regional Round. Nice to see you back.
Bismillah, Mr. Bismillah who played Shehnai, anything to do with him?
Bismillah, Allah Raka Khan, that's the right. So essentially, Bismillah, Ustad Bismillah Khan, the famous Shehnai player who was invited by Pandit Nehru for our ceremony, the Independence Day ceremony, and he played the Shehnai on that day. So this is Ustad Bismillah Khan, and he's a Bharat Ratna awardee as well. So this is Ustad Bismillah Khan. Fingers on your buzzers, teams. So this was again from the theme of the 75 years of our independence. Fingers on your buzzer. Next of your questions coming up on the screen now. The new Constitution of India, which came into force, created 4 class of territories. Part 4 relates to which particular region?
Andaman and Nicobar Islands.
They say Part 4 relates to Andaman Nicobar Islands. Andaman comes from Hanuman. Nicobar is the name from the land of the naked people, is what it comes from, the local language. And there's a region recently named after Subhash Chandra Bose. This is Andaman Nicobar Islands. A good 10 points to NLU Delhi Team 2 for really going for it and getting that right. We thought the question was too big, that it would take some time for all of you to process the question, but really, like a flash, getting that right. This is Andaman and Nicobar Islands. A very good 10 points to NLU Delhi Team 2. I think now the pressure is mounting for the runners-up and, of course, striking distance from the winners as well. So just for the purpose for everybody to know the scores, at this stage we have Gauhati Medical College with a good lead of 120 points, NUJS at 45 points, NLU Delhi Team 1 at 30, NLU Delhi Team 2 at 85, and that kind of explains why they were really happy getting that answer right. Symbiosis Law School Pune at 50 points, NLSIU Team 1 60, with that negative they've just got 10 points lesser, AFMC Pune at 70, and NLSIU Team 2 at 30 points. So last 4 questions of the quiz remaining. Fingers on your buzzers, all of you. Here it comes. In 1959, this individual visited India after having invited by the Gandhi Smarak Nidhi. And who at the Presidency College, Chennai, are we talking about who is giving this speech?
Martin Luther King Jr.
Martin Luther King Jr. And what made you guess?
Dreamer, I have a dream.
Dreamer, I have a dream. That's the answer. Well worked out. NLSIU Team 1 got a minus 10, and they are back with another plus 10 this time with Martin Luther King Jr. The famous I Have a Dream speech. And of course, when Martin Luther King Jr. came, he visited many parts of India. And this was specifically a packed auditorium at the Presidency College, Chennai, right? And he was greatly influenced by Gandhiji. In fact, held a portrait of him in his house. So this is Martin Luther King Jr. is the right answer. Next question. Fingers on your buzzers, teams. Now. Dash State Constitution Act was passed by the princely state in May of 1947. which looked for constitutional monarchy, which also had fundamental rights and duties of the citizenship. Which particular state had its own constitution or sought for a constitution?
This is Manipur.
Manipuri constitution, that's the right answer. Raj Bodhi Singh there, who in fact came up with the Manipur constitution and sought for a constitutional monarchy just before the independence, if you notice there, right, May of 1947. And later it was ceded to India. So this is the Manipuri state constitution. Very good answer, very good. Now, the last two questions of the quiz coming up on the screen. Fingers on the buzzers, teams. Now. AFMC, Sir Charles Wood dispatch led to what? I need an answer. Since you guys have gone for it, Sir Charles Wood dispatch led to what? I need an answer. You can't buy time at a buzzer round.
Law Commission.
They say Law Commission. -10. -10. Hard luck, team. Hard luck. The pressure really getting to the teams. But that was a good guess. That was a good guess. Good, well thought out guess. But unfortunately not. But the clue for all of you there was something that led to the setting up of, this community led to the setting up of something in Bombay, Madras, and Calcutta in 1857, and later in Allahabad and Punjab in 1882 and 1887. Right? It's called the Sir Charles Wood Dispatch. It led to many things. One of it was also introduction of English language in, in communication, in the education field. So what did it lead to? Okay, no one taking a guess. What was set up specifically? There were a lot of things that came in. What was set up? Okay, if you can, looks like.
At Bombay, Madras and Kolkata.
Good guess. Not the high courts. We thought that was the tricky part of the question, right? But something else got set up as a result. I'll come to you if no one answers it. Yes, you want to take a crack? Good thinking, presidencies, but very specifically the dispatch led to something. The Charles Wood recommendations led to something. Okay? No one taking a, yeah, over to you.
With English medium instruction, like the Presidency College and the Hindu College in Kolkata and all that.
Okay, so you're saying presidency colleges. The right answer are the universities. So Bombay University, Madras University, Calcutta University, Allahabad University, and Punjab University all led to college education. You're right, close by. And in fact, the communique also said about introduction of the English language in schools and other primary universities and colleges as well. So this was setting up of universities is what we were looking for. AFMC, hard luck, hard luck. I know that you had to go for it because that was their best chance of coming back into the game. The last question, and before I read out the last question, a huge round of applause for our national finalists who have played this fantastically well, right? And a huge applause for the Christ College of Law for being a partner of ConQuest for over 6 years of our existence. We have been part of supporting the initiative. So huge round of applause for all of the administration and management and you students and volunteers who made it happen. You know, a property like this, which is for over 6 years, imagine we've had students from here who have alumni who have become IAS officers and, they've gone on to practice, in many civil services departments and so on. It really heartens us that a property like ConQuest has really grown this much. So a huge thank you for the whole Center for Law and Policy Research team who have done the outreach and who continue to support with all the other partners. So huge round of applause for Center for Law and Policy Research for the quiz. The last question of our national finals. Coming up now, fingers on the buzzers, teams. Okay, we need an answer. You guys went off the buzzer right away. Haidari Manzil, what is so special about this place? Owned by a Gujarati trader and named after his daughter Haidari, what is so special about this place? I need an answer now, NLSIU team 1. I need an answer now. Go ahead.
Is this a place where the replica of Taj Mahal is made?
they say this is the place where the replica of the Taj Mahal was made. And for what?
For his dead wife, like the person made a replica for his dead wife or something.
For his dead wife. Okay? Moment of truth. If they get it right, they're the runners-up of the national finals. If they get it wrong, I think they are in striking distance in the top 3. And NLSIU team 1, it's a -10. It's a -10. It's not the Taj Mahal, but I think a huge round of applause for the team. They kept taking chances, kept taking guesses, and it really heartens me. From the question where they got the 1971 Liberation War to other questions where they kept trying to work out answers. So fantastic effort, NLSIU Team 1. And looks like with that answer, they have kind of paved the way for the runners-up team for the national finals. But all that after we get to the answer. What is so special about this Haidari Mansur? So I have like some eager viewers, Entu Cutlists in the finals here in the audience. But I'll come to you folks. Just want to hear answers from all of you. There's a reason why I would ask this question at the last question of our national finals. Yes? Absolutely. Mahatma Gandhi ji spent his time there doing the satyagraha for Hindu-Muslim unity. That's the right answer! Wow, that's fantastic. From Christ? Very good answer. What's your name? Abhiniti, cracking that right in the national final question. This is where Gandhiji spent his time doing the satyagraha. This is called the Gandhi Bhavan there, and today you can go and visit it. I believe there were hartals and so many kind of revolts. Imagine at the stroke of the midnight hour, Gandhiji was there fasting for Hindu-Muslim unity. We thought that was symbolic. And with that, we've come to the end of our national finals. I think a huge round of applause for all the finalists and for all of you for staying up for our finals. With that, I think I hand over the mic to the Christ College team to take forward the proceedings of the finals from here. And wishing all the finalists a hearty good luck for you guys. You did fantastically well. Great show, folks. Thank you all.
That was such a very interesting rounds. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. Jaydevan S. Nair, Dean, School of Law, Christ deemed to be University, to address the gathering.
Good afternoon, everybody. It has been a rousing response from your side, especially the audience over here, who have sat through around 3 hours of enlightening quiz on one of the most pulsating documents which guides the destiny of our nation, which is the Constitution of India. I'm glad that the institution has partnered with CLPR for over 6 years, and this has been one of the flagship events on the calendar of Christ deemed to be University, and particularly School of Law, Christ deemed to be University. We are sure that in the future as well, we will be partnering with them for further initiatives. The officials of CLPR have always been interacting with School of Law, Christ deemed to be University, by presentations and other guest lectures meant for our students. And I'm sure that we'll be continuing to partner with them in the days to come. I'm thankful to Jaina Kothari ma'am, who has come here despite her hectic schedule, because only last week I read in the Hindu an editorial column written by her on the EWS reservation policy. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am, from us once again, and all the team from CLPR who have been here, especially the quiz master, who has always been a very familiar face to our students now, and for a riveting round of quiz which has taken place since morning today. I would also like to place on record my appreciation to all the teams who have arrived here, and both from the private universities as well as from the public law schools. And I'm sure that the cream of the student community has been represented in these rounds for the coveted award for the National Quiz Championship from CLPR. With these words, I remain. Thank you.
Thank you for your valuable words, sir. Now, I would like to call upon Ms. Jayana Kothari, Senior Advocate and Executive Director, Center for Law and Policy Research.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, first of all, to Christ Law College for hosting ConQuest. We've been having ConQuest for the last 6 years at Christ, and it's really very, very exciting to be here every time and to see always a really nail-biting finish to the end. So thanks again, Christ Law College, for partnering with us. Thank you to the Dean School of Law for being so enthusiastic about the event and encouraging the Law College also to take part in it. On behalf of CLPR, what I would like to say is that it's really great to see that for the last 6 years, the same enthusiasm that is there for teams from all over the country to participate. One of the things we saw this time was that we heard many teammates say during the kind of regional rounds that they've been waiting to come and participate in ConQuest. And so that's really nice for us to see. This was to see ConQuest build into such a brand and to build into an event that students, not just law students, but students from other universities are looking forward to it and are, at the finals and really among the top teams. So that's really a success for ConQuest because our aim was to really build some excitement into understanding our Constitution, and that excitement should be built not just by us who study law, but by everyone, right? Like we saw the quote by Albert Einstein. Every citizen has to defend the Constitution, and how do we do that unless we are familiar with constitutional values and our own constitutional history? So today I'd like to just take a few minutes to speak about, I think it's been an important year constitutionally and what's been happening in the Supreme Court. We've had a whole range of important decisions coming out this year. We've had the Supreme Court grant bail to important human rights defenders, Anand Teltumbre and Teesta Setalvad. We've had a promising decision in the hijab case where the court referred the hijab decision to a larger bench. But while these important decisions were there, we've also had quite a problematic constitutional bench decision in the EWS case, which the dean also referred to. In the EWS case, the majority decision of the Supreme Court unfortunately held that the 103rd Constitution Amendment, which provides reservations on the grounds of economic status, would not include persons from SC, ST, or OBC backgrounds on the ground that they already had other reservations. Now this, in my view, takes quite a narrow view of equality and the understanding of equality under our Constitution. In some of the previous rounds of ConQuest, and today as well, we saw some questions on horizontal reservations or intersectionality, where multiple grounds of discrimination are addressed. And the minority decision of Chief Justice Lalit and Justice Bhatt actually painfully point out that the decision would in fact mean that someone who is poor and who does fall under the EWS category would actually be left out of it on ground of their caste. And that is really, in fact, discriminating someone on the basis of caste instead of understanding that they perhaps would be more marginalized than others. So yes, I hope that participating in ConQuest, wherever you may have placed, whether it is getting, just shortlisting for the regional rounds, making it to the finals, or just as an audience member. I hope the quiz makes you read some of these decisions, think about these decisions, debate about these, and give your views on that. That is the aim of ConQuest. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That was such an insightful talk. Without any further ado, we would like to start with the prize distribution ceremony. In light of the same, we would like to call our Dean, Ms. Dr. Jaydevan S. Nair, onto the stage. And also, we would like to call Ms. Jayana Kothari onto the stage.
And now for the announcement of the top 3 winners. And before that, can we have a huge round of applause for all the other finalists? Fantastic, super performance through the regional preliminary round, regional finals, and then here in the national finals. And all of them did a fabulous job. And coming in 3rd place today on that, and I think for them, that ringing tone of having to, whether Bismillah Khan would be something that they will remember for a while. So can we give it up for coming in 2nd runners-up on our national final, Sunidhi Das, Yash Goyal, and Suvansh Mahajan from NLSIU. Superb. And now to the team, which in fact had a dramatic tiebreaker finish in the NLU at the Northern Regional Round. And coming in runners-up on the national finals, can we give it up for National Law University Delhi team, Ananya Giri Upadhyaya, Ashwin Arun, and Siddharth Malik. Kindly collect your prizes from Jaina ma'am and the dean sir. And we have a huge round of applause. And now to the team which probably traveled the most to make it to our national finals. The team which was the first to come to the regional finals, and really, I think, making history with a medical college becoming national champions of ConQuest. It heartens us immensely. Gauhati Medical College, can we have it up for Sayan Mazumdar, Vishwajan Bhattacharjee, and Amrita Nandini Talukdar. Please come here and collect. They go home with 30,000 rupees cash prize. And probably something that's more memorable is the national champions of ConQuest. Right. So thank you so much, Jana and sir. Thank you so much for gracing the occasion. With that, thank you so much, all of you, and best wishes. And thank you, audience, for the quiz. I hope you all enjoyed. From Center for Law and Policy Research team and from Q Shala, a hearty thank you for all of you. Hope you had a good time.
Congratulations to all the teams. Now, I would like to call upon Varsha Nair, CLPR Research Associate, to give the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's been amazing for us to host the 6th iteration of ConQuest. On behalf of our organization, the Center for Law and Policy Research, I would like to thank each and every one of you for your part in making this event a success. First and foremost, congratulations to all the winners of ConQuest 2022. It was truly a wonderful finals. Thank you also to all the finalists for making this event a memorable one. Sincere thanks to School of Law, Christ University for collaborating with us to host the national finals. Special thanks to the Dean, Dr. Jayadevan S. Nair, for facilitating this association and being gracious with his support. Nothing would be possible without the cooperation and help from the faculty coordinators, especially Mr. Abhishek Sharma. A heartfelt thanks to all the volunteers and student council members for working round the clock in making sure we have a lovely event. We thank the Frederick Naumann Foundation for supporting ConQuest. A huge thanks to our digital media partner, ThePrint, for covering the event. Thanks to our knowledge partner, Q-Shala, for a terrific quiz. A big thanks also to a design partner this year, Design Brew. Finally, thanks to all the folks at CLPR led by our Executive Director, Jaina Kothari, and Managing Trustee, Sudhir Krishnaswamy, all our associates, administrative staff, and interns for making this event possible. With this, we bring ConQuest 2020 to a close, and we look forward to hosting ConQuest again next year. Before ending the day, I'd also like to invite all of you to CLPR's flagship event, Transform, one of India's first conferences on transgender rights and the law. The public event this year will be a panel discussion on the theme Transforming Rights, how law shapes transgender lives, identity, and community in India. This panel, involving scholars and activists, will take place on 9 December 2022 at Joseph's Institute of Management. For any additional information, you can reach out to any of us at CLPR, or you can find our contact details on our website, www.clpr.org.in. Thank you.